Okay, folks, this is Dr. Mark Carriage with another YouTube video. This time I'm starting the group therapy series off. There's 10 to 12 videos in this series. This is the first one on my own therapeutic, orientation, if you will, about groups. Been doing groups for many years and taught group classes for good 10 years, actually more than that, 12 years, maybe 13 years. Um, so I am Dr. Mark Carriage. I've been around for the last 45 years. Um, I got a bachelor's degree from SIU in 79, master's degree in counseling 1981, 1985, PhD at both graduate degrees from SLU, which is St. Louis U. I did an internship in counseling psychology from 84 to 85, where I was introduced to my first group as a leader, or co-leader, rather. You can call me Dr. Mark or Dr. C. And I do have a YouTube video. Um, I think it's called Dr. Mark something or other. Um, the point I want to make is that I can be reached at mcarriage at AOL.com, CARICH at AOL.com. And I'm assuming the PowerPoint this time is captured. Um, and for you all, yes, AOL is still alive. Dial up is dead. So obviously, I'm not on dial up. Matt at the bottom there is helping me get introduced to this stuff. However, he is not present today in this taping event. Okay, so we start out with the history. We always got to start with history. You got to know your history. And so I know some of the history, and what I know is Alfred Adler and Rudolf Dreikurs, who had collaborated at some point in time. Dreikurs was kind of his student and one early on. They were both psychiatrists. You got to remember, back in those days, psychiatrists did everything. They did all the therapy. It was prior to medications coming really on the scene. And so they were perhaps the first to use group in mental health settings. I know they had groups in their child guidance clinics. I think they did therapy groups as well in mental health settings. Now, some historians will credit Jacob Moreno with psychodrama as one of the first to do group therapy. Europe anyway, and got driven out by the Nazis, and I believe settled over here. I know Adler settled in New York with his daughter Alexandria and Kurt. I had met them in the '86. Not Alfred, obviously. He passed away in 19, I believe, 38, 37, 38 on a lecture tour. But I actually met Rudolf Dreikurs as well when I was young. That's for another whole story. But Rudolf Dreikurs settled in Chicago. Alfred Adler settled in New York City. And after that, everybody and their brother that's developed a theory, orientation, the rest of it, have got their own type of group they want to call, named after their own theory. So, what is a group? It's more than one person, and it's non-familial. Because if you have a familial, let's say two or three of you are all family, then you have a family session, or you have a couple session if you're connected. So, a group is more than one person not related. That's the best way to say that. There's two basic types of groups. When it's all said and done, there's two or three. Um, One is content based on your given information to the group. The group is supposed to be absorbing it, and that's about it. It's called content because you're providing educational material, psychoeducational. Process groups involve the interactions and the experiential processes of the group itself. It's the interactions where members actually are getting tapped into their various experiential domains and interact with each other, and there's feedback loops and the whole thing. And I think there's a third one because you can have a mixture of both, perhaps. The main thing is if you're doing a process content group, you want to have some process in there. And sometimes in a process group, you may present some kind of element for a minute. So at any rate, there's a number of theories of actual group work and development. I provide you the actual resources. Everybody's still living except for Gaza. Gaza just passed away earlier in the year, a few months ago, I believe. So we're going to talk about some assumptions, definitions of what therapy is, because it all stems from communication. And what is communication? An exchange of behaviors within a therapy communication is within a therapeutic context. It's a change-oriented process. It's a change-oriented context where the therapist helps the client change. Now, what's the deal with this map thing? The therapeutic map is the therapist's view of life change pathology. It includes your models of therapy and on and on. It forms your therapeutic lens, which you will generally pass somewhat on to the client by definition. And yes, there are common generic structures across the spectrum of therapy models. Communication, back to communication. It seems like I do have this a bit out of order, but whatever. Communication is an exchange of information or behaviors in some specific context. That's all it is. So, again, therapeutic communication. I can't emphasize this enough because this is what therapy is, really. It's exchange sequences of communication in the form of interactional patterns between a therapist and a client and a change context. There's implicit and explicit rules. Implicit rules are those that this is the way this kind of runs. Explicit rules are this is the rules of the group. I know in the Midwest of Illinois there was groups that were running where with men with sexual issues, offense issues, and the implied rule was you keep talking about more new victims and then you're going to make progress. And that's what they did. They made up victims in order to make progress in the group. That's an implicit rule. Explicit rules mean we're going to have respect for each other. We're going to do A, B, C, D. We all agree upon it. And I always invite the group initially to get involved and come up with the rules. I already know what they're going to be, obviously. They might throw in an extra one or two. Okay, so emphasis is in the group is on subjective processing, constructing inner realities, the meaning of one's life, personal resources, strengths, purposeful behaviors. It's all in the form of needs, self-determinism, etc. We have provided a list of tenets. The we is me, really. Provided a list of tenets taken largely from Adler and Mahoney and different folks like that. But there's a number of views of human nature reflected in a number of personality theories, number of theories of therapy models, the number of models. I mean, it just goes on and on. And you can throw developmental models, theories in there as well. Okay, so some of these are people are self-deterministic. They make choices at all levels. There's multiple levels of awareness and meaning. Reality and causality can be viewed at multiple levels, dimensions. They intersect actually. Holistic view. The mind body is connected, folks. It's a holistic approach because all aspects of self are connected at different levels. I also strongly emphasize the developmental evolutional view. Behavior is goal oriented and serves purposes. And we do live in social context. People, again, create their own inner reality. So you have a group, everybody has their own inner reality. And then with the group, you co construct with the facilitator, which is the leader, which is the therapist, a group social reality. And I think there's a futuristic pull in life. People look forward to the future. They look into their futures, even if it's planning a grocery list. That's future planning. Okay, so there's multiple dimensions of self and change. I call them experiential domains. There's the cognitive, where you think, anything to do with thinking. The affective, anything to do with emotions. Behavioral is motor activity. Spiritual, connection. Don't freak out. Spiritual is the connection to a higher power.